Hi guys, I'm Shmee, hello and welcome back to the channel where you join me today in Las Vegas, currently one block over from the Vegas Strip, where we've got the Bellagio, Caesars Palace, Cosmo Hotel. You can just about see the Eiffel Tower from the Paris Hotel, but we are here at Royalty Exotic Cars, who have invited me today to take one out for a drive. Now you can see we've got a pretty strong Lamborghini lineup behind me of their rental cars, but I have chosen for today to drive this, the twin-turbo 1,000 horsepower Lamborghini Huracan. And believe it or not, this car has 90,000 miles on it, 50,000 of which have been driven as a twin-turbo. Let's have a quick look then how all of that works, see the turbos in the back before taking it out to have a bit of fun. Here right now then, we do have Huracan, and an Aventador. I think they have 9 Lambos in total, 7 Huracans and 2 Aventadors, plus plenty more. The McLaren 570S, Bentley convertible, but it is all about this today. Subtle in its appearance. You would not instinctively notice that that was a twin-turbo Huracan. Now, of course, it is always quite a thing when you stick twin turbos into the engine bay of a Lamborghini. I have driven a twin-turbo Aventador before from Mansouri, but let's just open this up where I've squeezed my luggage into the footwell just for a moment, pull the seat forward so that we can get to the latch down here to pop open the engine bay, give that a tug so we can come back and see the turbos that we've got back here, where we have installed by Dallas Performance the precision turbos down here. How cool are these? And they did actually, well, you can see the turbo literally just in there and over on the other side as well. They did actually run this car for a while without a rear bumper. Police basically thought that's a race car, even though it's not. Local laws not necessarily known by the tourists or people renting out the cars. But this, well, as you can see, literally twin turbos bolted onto the back of the 5.2 litre, normally naturally aspirated V10, in this case, twin turbo Huracan. Have a look around though at all of this. Forged carbon finish, very, very cool. So, let's close that down, and let's latched securely and come through to get this started up then, to hear how it sounds, and to quickly show you also the amount of mileage that is on the dash. 90,317 miles. And this isn't even Royalty Exotic Cars' highest mileage Huracan. It is insane to me to see Lambos still running with that kind of mileage, and they say that these are basically bulletproof. So we've got the start button just here underneath the good old flap. Of course, I've driven a few Huracans before now, but let's give a press of this and bring it into life to take a listen to what this sounds like starting up. Okay, we've got the normal aggressive V10 cold start sound. Let's get the radio and things off. I'll let it warm up a little bit before I head on out. But I think this is, oh, there we go. I can hear some of the turbo whistle. Let's let it warm up and then take it out for a drive to have some cautious fun and see what it's about. There's one thing about Lamborghini Huracans that I am never ever a fan of, and that is the seats. They are so firm, even the more comfortable normal seats, they just don't work for me. Whatever I do, whatever position I try and move them to, I'm never happy. The lumbar support is too aggressive, the cushions just don't... I've talked about it before, I don't need to go on about all of that again. Anyway, that was the noise of another Huracan alongside starting up. Getting comfortable in here. I think the car in default, until you turn traction off, is running about 800 horsepower. Remember, this is the Dash 4, the 610-4. Normally it would have 610 horsepower. In the regular tune, it's got about 800 horsepower. If you then go traction off, you get up to 1,000. So, we're going to drive first in 800 horsepower, still with the 7-speed dual-clutch gearbox, and you'll also notice in front they have quite a few Polaris slingshots, the 3-wheelers, a great way to get around town out here. Anyway, we are ready and set, so let's do this. Let's head on out and get a feel for a twin-turbo Lamborghini Huracan. And I tell you what, driving like that, it just feels normal. You wouldn't notice there was any difference to the car, which is of course incredibly popular as a kind of daily driver supercar. Basically what this thing does so well is being easy to use, easy to drive in all occasions, With the absurdity of the Vegas Strip in front of me, let's pop this into Corsa. We will go into manual as well. We are of course in first gear, but we are heading, the steering changed significantly, onto a bit of highway, so... You feel it, and then you get the crackles of course. Up towards the top end of the rev range. Wow. You have to be really careful driving something like this. And then you get the blow off as well. What? That's insane. That's just 800 horsepower. Wow. Okay, so initial impressions, well, just easing into it a little bit, are that this thing is ridiculously fast. Ridiculously fast. You have to keep your wits about you so much. You might have seen how, of course, cold tyres, that's made it squirm a little bit. Just slow down a touch. Quite empty behind bar, one truck coming past. Okay, just do a second gear. It's very quick. The shifts, of course, as always, are seamless. They just bang into the next gear. This is ridiculous. It goes almost quite light when you do it, when you accelerate. This is insane, combining V10 with those swooshes. When you accelerate and then lift off, of course you get the wastegate noise. Pop the window down just a touch. It's very windy outside today. Doesn't really make it much louder. Just lots and lots of windows. Let's close that. Always with the switches that are backwards in a Lambo. Thoughts of the twin turbo Huracan then? And like I said, we are running only 800 horsepower at the moment. I suppose let's a bit quieter, 7th gear. Let's pop into, that would be sport traction. Or you hold it, and I think it turns all the way off. Oh, I've got to, yeah, put it back on, hold it down. Or maybe it's been reprogrammed. I think that could be actually fully off just with one quick pull. Right, so it's got different tunes depending on your traction state. So of course, I now have to be very aware that we're running with even more power. Yeah, I'm barely pressing the throttle pedal. I'm very, very, very aware that this has now become, I mean, it was already silly, but it's now even more silly. What? That's a weird feeling. Wow, what a kick. I am well and truly lost. Oh, got a bird on the road, I don't want to hit that. Woo-hoo-hoo. That did not move, and unfortunately we've also got a traffic jam. Keeps going on. Out of the traffic jam. Look, bit of a tunnel. Okay, drop some gears. It's just an absurdity. You see what I mean? It's so much power that traction, even with four-wheel drive, becomes a discussion point. This keeps you big time on your toes. Big time. Sounds, the sights, the feel of it. I'm not driving that fast as well, because I daren't. I feel like you need to really put your foot down, a proper runway or serious open space. You can't just do it because you feel like it. I mean, it pushes you, like you feel your organs being pushed to the back of your body. So I'm used to driving a normal Huracan. Nobody behind me at all. Okay, first gear. gear is going to be a speed that we're not going to be doing today. So let's go down to maybe to 4th gear. We're at about 4,000 RPM, foot down. To be honest, it's just power all the way through. It's literally just power all the way through. There wasn't one point at which it just kicked and gave me it all. Bit of a gap behind. Okay, down to 3,500, foot down, there we go. Yeah, it's just all the way through the rev range, just power everywhere. And the numbers get really big really quickly, really quickly. This is, the gearbox in here as well, the speed with which it shifts. Mad, absolutely mad. Traction back on then. Is this now going to feel a little bit slower? Yeah, that's really interesting. So, here we can feel more of the limitation of the torque, certainly in the lower end of the rev range, where it starts to, oh, we've got a bit of traffic ahead of us again, where it starts to give you that extra acceleration out of it. So if we go down, well, given we're going a bit slower, we can. There's next to nothing, and then about 4,000 it all comes in. You feel it all arriving. Really interesting there, and boom, oh, we've got a car. Okay, yeah, traffic jam ahead, unfortunately, but so it makes a big difference, the mapping. Keeping traction on the slower end or the lower end of the rev range up to about 4,000, you're not going to kill yourself. Traction off, that's where you have to be pretty cautious. I guess we're going to get one last opportunity. And all those bangs as well. Reminds me in a way of Stig's Persian cousins, Gallardo, Super Trofeo, Stradale, just the way the gunshots are going off endlessly. It wouldn't really be a video in Las Vegas without at least a minute on the Las Vegas Strip as we head down back towards Royalty Exotic Cars, turning onto South Las Vegas Boulevard. The place is still ridiculous, it hasn't changed in the slightest, obviously, and it never will. Twin turbo Huracan on the Vegas Strip, going past the Bellagio fountains and the Eiffel Tower as we head back. This is actually quite subtle. As Lambos go, a black Huracan does not stand out and scream and shout, other than probably making an absolute chaotic noise behind. And yeah, I mean, the car, obviously, it's done 90,331 miles now. It's had a pretty strong outing, but in overall good shape. Yeah, okay, the steering wheel is a touch showing some age, and there are a few nicks here and there, but it drives well. It's very, very kind of in shape. You know, there's no, from a driving perspective, it might as well be almost brand new. At least how it feels to me at the wheel. And that's quite interesting, that they've built the car in a way that it is the daily, you know, it has longevity to it. I think it's pretty official that the twin turbo Huracan is insane. This one, to have 90,000 miles on the clock and to do this is beyond insane. It's just a crazy car. I don't necessarily know that I would choose a Huracan and a Huracan with this amount of power, but for a kind of experience to drive it, it's madness. There's nothing else you can do but laugh almost uncontrollably. Oh, through a dip. Yep, being careful there. I think I was probably supposed to go that way. But just laughter. It's entertaining. It's just fun. Right, okay, we've got another big dip. And we do have a lift system here. Press that once, lift it up. Perfect. Oh my word. What a drive. What just a fun thing to be at the wheel of. Oh, we're gonna need this again. It really is. If you can get over the lack of space, and of course intercoolers are now in the front, which takes away the already very limited space, and in my mind the uncomfortable seats, and my back is a little sore after even kind of 20 minutes or so of driving. This really is the daily car, and now it's just ludicrously fast as well. Ludicrously fast. Back we go then, 488, the green Lambos, and I'm going to park this up right out in front. Got the Polaris slingshots. No pressure then, parking test. We do have a reversing camera. No, we don't have the reversing camera here.
So, well, we're not trying to park in the lines. We've got much more space than we need. Unfortunately, actually, being parked right alongside another Huracan, we can simply line up the door mirrors and we know we're good. All right then. Handbrake, park. That's basically my experience, but we should take a quick little listen to this. The engine is very warm now. We're in Corsa. The fizz. That's kind of cool. You're very aware it's got turbos. Oh, just let it run for a moment after warming up the turbos like that. But this, what car? Thanks to Royalty-Exotic Cars for the opportunity to go out and drive this. I tell you what, that car is much more my taste. As many of you will know, I'm a big fan of cars in bright colours. Oh, 488 Spider just started up over there. So I'd be more in the camp of the bright green Huracan than the black, more subtle car. Although I tell you what, you would have no idea from the outside that this thing has 1,000 horsepower with the twin turbos, or that it's done the 90,000 miles. But I tell you what I will show you quickly is inside the frunk. So that's just heading off. Inside here then, what I was saying about the space. Now you don't normally have much space up front in a Huracan. Press and hold the button just to open it up. And inside the frunk of this car, you also happen to have, I think, the cooler tank here, which kind of takes up half of it. You've also got the suspension components as well. So you're not really going to be fitting very much stuff inside the front of this car at all, unfortunately. Anyway, close that back down. Car overall though, have to be said, very much a daily driver. Those two look cool as well. The green Lambos side by side and all the Polaris slingshots. I don't think I've ever driven a Polaris slingshot. Maybe I should do that at some point in the future. But for now, I've enjoyed driving this an awful lot. A big thanks to the team here, Royalty Exotic Cars. Their links are down below. If you're out here in Vegas and fancy a car to rent, you know where to come. Big lineup of supercars, including a few more inside as well. But I have enjoyed this, 90,000 miles. And if you're playing, oh, what can we hear? To be honest, out here, you never know. When you hear a V8 grumble, you never know what it is going past. I've enjoyed driving this an awful lot. Like I said, 90,000 miles. And if you're playing the 90,000 mile drinking game, you've probably had a pretty hard time, and I'm sorry about that. But I've enjoyed driving this. Just a really different experience. Twin turbos plus a V10. What a sound, what a power, what a kind of kick in the back. But for today, thank you very much for watching. As always, guys, I appreciate your support an awful lot, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers!